Greetings, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White. I am so excited to be here with each of you this summer show. I know that many of us are taking our quality times with our families and friends. We're enjoying each other's company, which I think is definitely in order. And so I want to first come on and say hello. I'm going to check really quick to make sure everything is working properly on social media. So as I'm checking, make sure that you are letting your friends know. Hey, Alexander, how are you? How is everyone? Share the show. Share the show. We're going to talk about a really cool topic today. So I'm super excited and I'm glad to be here with each of you bringing positive energy. I know today and just this week, my entire focus has been just keeping positive energy, getting rid of any energies that are contrary to where I want to go in life and or any energies that are just kind of contrary to what I feel I deserve to embrace. So before I get going into the show, you guys know I have some announcements for you. So welcome to the show. If this is your first time, the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White, it will be aired on the radio station SoulNet WKDH every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks, Ken, for that. Visit also www.soulnetwkdh.com to tune in live every day at that time, and you can watch the show online. Also, the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White is also going to be featured on Swain Girl Media Channel by Precious Swain. It's also on, I believe, like Apple Tunes and whatnot. You can hear it online that way as well. Thank you, Precious, for the amazing work you're doing. You should check out her other shows as well. She has such a platform. Very proud of that rock star friend of mine. Now, I also would love for you guys to follow me whenever you get a chance on social media. My Facebook account is Miss India White, LinkedIn, The India White, Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. My professional Twitter for like education and stuff is iWhiteBIL. And my Instagram is Indie238. My YouTube channel is India White 123. So please follow me when you get a chance. I would love to connect with you. I would love to connect with you. Okay. Also, my website, www.india-white.com. I have a lot of different things going on over there. I have blogs. If you want to buy a book, you can buy my autobiography, which is Double for My Trouble, where I go into detail as to how my life just kind of became a testimony. I went through some hardships, but I do feel like I've received double for that. But I want to talk to people about how, you can come out of a victim mindset and actually conquer, overcome, and be great and just enjoy the double that, God will just give you for all that you've been through. Now, with that said, I want to go into the show. I want to talk to you guys. You can also request to have me speak at your next event, or if you're wanting to, like I said before, purchase a book and things like that. But listen, I want to talk to you guys about a really cool topic. I think the kiddos will get excited too. I wanted to talk about this because I am in the boat with you parents, you teachers, you principals, whatever, and it's back to school prep. I want to talk about this because I think it's so imperative that I just kind of give you some love on this show today so that your child can be best equipped for going back to school, not just the way they look, but everything else. So I'm just going to keep it real. I'll be talking to you as a parent. I'll be talking to you as an educator, as an administrator, just as someone in the field. What do your children need to be ready for school? Now, it's July, so we're the end of July. School's starting back, different times of the calendar throughout the state, right? So with that said, different people are getting ready sooner than later. Long story short, there are different deals going on throughout the nation, different types of days, and hopefully you're catching some of those deals, which we'll also elaborate on later on in the show. So I'm going to start talking to you guys about steps that you need to take to prepare students to go back to school, to make sure that they're set. Okay. Parents, I'm going to need your help with this. Teachers as well. And so there's a couple of things. So when you're dealing with steps to go back to school, the first thing I think you should consider are making sure that your children have the proper immunizations that you feel comfortable with them getting. Make sure that you've fulfilled any doctor's appointments, and make sure that your children are registered for school. So many times, when students are being registered for school, they'll get the shot record and things like that, and you have to update them and tell them when they had their last physical, their last shots, and whatever else. I know if they're going into 7th grade, they need the Tdap shot. There's so many different things like that, right? So you don't want your child to be delayed in school by a couple of days because they didn't get the immunization records on point. You can go to the health department to get their immunization records done. If you don't have a family doctor, you can look up different health centers in your city. That could do it for you. If you're in hard times, I'm sure that you can go to DCF, Department of Children and Families, and they also could direct you to some doctors that will serve your family as well, so that your children can be up to par for school. Now, along with immunizations, you want to make sure that those doctor's appointments are being kept. Doctors are being slammed right now with all different types of things, physicals, just everything else with children, dentist appointments. If you have to go to an orthodontist or whatever the doctor is, for your child, make sure that you are booking these appointments. If you've waited, I almost said it's September. Go Gators. But it's July, late July. So try to get into the doctor. Good luck. I hope that you're able to make that appointment, because sometimes those doctor's appointments carry out for 3 weeks and even longer, because everybody is trying to get physicals done for their child. Everybody's trying to get the Tdap shot. Everybody's trying to get what they need for their kids. So with that said, make sure that you are up to par with those doctor's appointments, parents. Okay. And again, we spoke about being registered for school. The cool thing though is that if you're moving from, if you're within the same district, it shouldn't be that big of a problem. A district public school should be able to transfer all of those files over to another school just fine. You shouldn't have to really update much of anything unless you have an updated address or light bill, water bill, things like that. But make sure that you talk to your school to figure out exactly, in particular, what they do, how they do business. Listen, administrators do registration. Sometimes front desk people, professionals do registration. It could be a headache and it can be very overwhelming, especially if your child is going to high school or middle school and there's 800, 900 plus students all trying to register. Imagine, you only have 5 to 10 people that can really do the job. So in advance, just be patient with these leaders as they are registering students. Please don't give them a hard time, because believe me, they are doing their best and sometimes their hands are tied. So I understand sometimes, you might want to take it out on a leader, especially in high school, but just be cognizant of the fact that they're doing their best to serve you. And if they give you an attitude, they probably have been there for 8 hours registering 400 students, and they're probably just exhausted. Nothing personal. Just be mindful of that whenever you are taking your children in to get them registered for school. All right. Next step, I want to talk to you guys about open house. So each school district, each school will have an open house. It is imperative that you communicate. And if you cannot be there, if you have a work appointment or vacation or something, make sure you at least reach out to the teachers and to the schools to figure out how you can still get that, quality information for your child, whether that's through email, or if they call you and leave you a message, or if they can mail you something, an open house packet or something. Make sure you get that so that in the first week of school, your child is not completely lost. And now I can say that, if you can't make open house, don't worry too much. I mean, yeah, you'll miss a bulk of information, but at the same time, there might be some transitions. Sometimes, especially in high school, administrators might still be changing schedules and things like that for students. So it's not something that you want to freak out so much about, that you're like, oh my word, I don't know what to do. My child's completely lost now because I didn't make open house. You'll be fine. Just make sure that you're, patient as they're communicating and letting you know. And remember, that first week of school, y'all, is so stressful for the teachers and administrators. And yes, it's stressful for parents, yes, as well, and students. But just to think of all that they have to undergo with every parent, making sure every child is good, making sure everybody is happy. Somebody's not going to be happy, right? Things are going to not always flow smoothly. And that is why administrators and leaders are definitely going to need parents to work with them that first week of school, with being patient and making sure that when you're tempted to send 10 emails, just take a break, take a ride around the park, do something to just kind of calm down and don't take it personally, but realize they're trying to serve hundreds and hundreds of students. And so they're doing their best. So just be patient with it. I would say after about the 4th week, okay, I can understand getting a little bit agitated, but still being professional and working with them. Okay. Now, step 5, we already mentioned physicals. There's 2 types of physicals. Usually there's like the one that just makes sure that your baby's okay, that, they do the little thing on the knee thing and their knee jumps or whatever. Like, okay, so you have that physical, but then you have a sports physical. Now, if your child is playing sports, you might want to talk to if you're in high school, like assistant principal of administration or whatever they call the person over sports. Middle school, same thing. Figure out when they're trying out for sports. When do they get the packet? They might have that during open house. They might have that sooner, depending on when they're trying to have a team represented. So make sure that you're going in and filling out all of that information. I know like marching band, they might have already been doing marching band practice. And so your child might, like if you're going into middle school and you have not reached out yet, that you might be a little bit behind the ball, but that does not mean that they can't squeeze you in. They might still be able to squeeze your child in, but you might have to go and get the physicals form from them so that the doctors can fill that out for you as well. Step 6, we're going to talk about school clothing shopping and tax-free weeks. So as a mom, I also did my research as to when this is kind of legit in Florida, in my area. And we found that our tax-free week starts on Monday. It'll be Monday, July 25th through August 7th, I think it is. So parents out there, make sure that you're going to the stores and getting those deals during that time. There's no shame in that. However, parents, if you have not gone to some of the online deals yet, you are missing out. I know one place I'll vouch for is Children's Place. While my babies can still go there, they do have tax-free week right now. So you can get everything face value, no tax at Children's Place. You can find, it's the blue and white one, the like turquoise, kind of like the color of my scarf. Go there and you can get some deals from there. So listen, I was a little nosy. I said, I wonder how much money people spend on clothing. And you're probably going to laugh when you see this number, especially if you have more than one child. So I did. I went and I looked and I said, I wonder how much money parents spend on school clothing. What do you guys think? How much money do you think a parent spends per child on school clothing? I'm sorry, I had to laugh at this. So drum roll. I played saxophone, so that's all you're going to get from me. So I did some digging and I found, according to Statista, on average, parents spend $264 per child. How many of us are laughing at the numbers? Yes, because your child probably wants a pair of Nikes. Some parents are getting their kids Jordans. We already know that right there is $150. And that's a cheap pair. And then you have hair appointments. You have, that's not clothing, but still. And then you have uniform. And then you have outfits outside of the uniform. And then if you are getting the deal and then you're still, doing tax-free stuff, your child is going to have a sense of flavor and a sense of style. They might want something else. So you might budget and say, okay, I'll spend $100 on you here, $100 here, whatever. But your child is going to throw that extra shirt in or that extra, whatever part of that outfit, those extra socks or whatever, because they need those things for school. So When I saw $264 per child, I'm going to be honest, I laughed at that because I said, you could spend that in an hour at Walmart. You could spend an hour at Target or at Children's Place or the mall. Don't even go to the mall. I mean, if it's $264, that's it. Skip the mall altogether because you're going to break the bank that first hour. In the mall, $264 is going to go down the drain in 30 minutes, once you hit Foot Locker and then you hit, Old Navy or some other stores. So I digress, but I thought that was kind of funny. So imagine if the number really is more realistically like what? At least $400 per child. Yeah, it's going to get kind of pricey. So, just do what you can to budget or to use wisdom during this time, and explain to your child, hey, I love you and I'm not going to be able to get you everything, but I'll get you what I know you need for school, and set some boundaries, because sometimes we have to also teach our children those lessons by saying no. It doesn't mean that you don't love them, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get it for them, but sometimes you're trying to teach them bigger lessons of life. So there's nothing wrong with that. Good luck as you are doing your shopping. Now, I also was a little nosy because I said, well, going to my next step of step 7, school supplies. So I had to ask myself, okay, so how much money do we spend on school supplies? Now, sometimes Walmart has that really cool sale where you get like notebooks for like 25 cents. Sometimes they're down to like 5 cents. Crazy, right? So then you want to just buy boxes and boxes for like $2.50 because you're like, yeah, like that's like the best deal. Like you can't beat that deal. But then sometimes your child's like, no, I want this sparkly one that's $20, or I want this, my son right now is into Roblox and all this other stuff. So he might want a Roblox notebook for $10. So sometimes, yes, you have to give and take and adjust. But long story short, you have to now not only use the monies for school shopping, but also for school supplies. So you've got, do they need a notebook? Do they need a backpack? Do they have folders? Do they have paper? Do they need scissors, whiteout? Do they need a ruler? Do they need a graphing calculator? Or do they need just a regular calculator? Do they need crayons, colored paper, colored pencils, do they need tissues for their teacher for extra credit? Which that's a whole nother topic, right, guys? Why are we doing this to our children? There should not be. But anyways, I digress. So, what do our children need regarding school supplies? So I was nosy. So I did some digging. And I found out that according to National Retail Federation, parents spend about $840 per child on school supplies. I was mind blown. But when you think about it, it can really add up if you're not catching any of the deals and you're paying tax. It really can add up. And then that's $37.1 billion each year. And I kind of thought to myself, maybe that meant $840 for the whole year. Because if you think about it, you're going to spend about maybe around $400 on like per child on the markers and all this other stuff. But then, in the reset of the new year, after the winter break, the child needs to go back and restock. And sometimes the teacher's working out deals like, hey, I need you to bring in paper for your class and whatever, right? The whole thing. So it made me think like, oh, okay, maybe that's why it came up to $840. Sometimes students, they drop their backpack, everything gets out of it, things go in the mud, the dog ate the homework kind of thing. So there's so many different reasons as to why they're spending so much money. So that alone lets you know that you're spending at least $1,000 per child on school supplies, and we haven't even gotten to like the grooming and things yet. So just happy shopping out there. And that was according to Washington Post. I also want to throw a plug into teachers. Shout out to teachers. I know when I was in the classroom, I would always spend at least $500 of my personal money towards classroom supplies, posters, markers, pencils. I would never write a student up for not having a pencil. I thought that was absurd. If a child doesn't have a pencil, it's my responsibility as the adult to help the baby, right? So I just wouldn't even get into that. That's not even a fish to fry. That's not even logical to me. So long story short, I would buy pencils, markers, crayons, and I would keep everything in the back of my room. And no, the kids didn't always have to check them out. I used to have a checkout system. It got very tedious, cumbersome. Kids would misplace things. Kids would break pencils, and it was just a hot mess. So I just decided, you know what? They take what they take, and, whatever stays in the class stays, whatever. Usually at the end of the year, I had maybe a pencil and a half, maybe a sheet of crumbled up paper, whatever. But guess what? They made it. They succeeded. And that's why I was there. That's why that stuff was there. So long story short, teachers do spend about $500+ per year on school supplies, and that's being humble. Because if you're thinking about all the posters they have to get laminated, you're thinking about all of the school supplies they need, all of the markers, whiteboards, expo markers. Parents, if you can be sweet and get a pack of that, that would be great for teachers. They'll love you so much for that, because they're doing that for your kids. They're doing that when your kids have to come up to the board and show work. They can use those expo markers. They can use all that stuff. And so, what happens is sometimes kids, they, whether it's through boredom or whether it's through whatever, sometimes, they get bored with some of the school supplies, and they might take that expo marker and then they like stab it so hard into the ground or into the desk that it takes the tip of it and puts it way down in there, and now it's like stuck and now it doesn't work. Or they take the pencils and they break them, or they take the staple gun and they staple an apple, or they do so many different things because they're creative and they're funny. They're going to be students, So long story short, anyways, that teachers are, going out of their way above and beyond. Kudos to you guys. I know if you're a teacher, there is a grant that you can get from Donors Choose, where if you have certain projects in your classroom that require school supplies, you could possibly get that grant from Donors Choose. You also want to check out different education foundations around your district and to see if they have any grants or any, funding that they also can give you to contribute to your classroom teachers, because that also can help as well. Now, all right, so now we're going to go back to the next steps for preparing your students for school. So step 8, I wanted to talk about getting your kids ready for sports, band, and things. Your kids are going to have to know that they might have to work out over the summer. They might have to take some laps, walk, eat healthy. If they have band practice, get some Gatorade. Don't lock your knees on the field. And then also start preparing your child for throughout the school year. Are they going to be in the YMCA, big boys and girls club? Are they going to have after school tutoring, 21st century programs, like different things like that? What are you going to allow your child to do throughout the school year? Are they going to be in swimming lessons, dance lessons, like football, basketball, tennis, whatever? Start thinking about that. Start talking to your child now about getting them ready for that throughout the school year. Start putting that on a calendar, a visible physical calendar, maybe in your home, so everybody knows what's going on, so that band practice doesn't catch you off guard, for sake. So do whatever it takes. Tutoring. Are they going to have tutoring? Sometimes, you might say, you kind of didn't do that well last year in math. Let me go ahead and get you some math tutoring in advance, whether you find a tutor or you work out a schedule with the teacher for tutoring. Sometimes schools do have tutoring, but sometimes that doesn't pick up until around September-ish, because they have to get everything situated, depending on the funding and the teachers that are available. So, please be patient with your schools as well as they try to figure that out. All right. Step 9, grooming and hygiene, making sure that your child has everything they need for grooming and hygiene, from hair appointments, from, just bodily things. I know Bath and Body Works had some really cool sales going on. And some other stores in the mall, just kind of nationwide, have different things going on. So making sure that you're communicating with your child and giving them those grooming, those hygiene needs. Making sure that you're communicating with, if you have hair salons and things like that, trying to get on their calendars, making sure that, everything is making sense so that your child can be set up for success. This is so imperative for getting your child to where they need to be throughout the school year. And also, I want to say, parents, talk to your children about your expectations. That is another step that I wanted to share with you guys. And this is so imperative, because not just expectations about academics, but expectations about their behavior, about their morals, about how they treat other people, about being respectful in classes. Sit them down and talk with them about what's on that school syllabus. What did the teacher say? That their expectations are. What is it going to take to get an A? Is there something that they already have due that first week? Start high. Don't start the school year saying, oh, well, I might get a C in math. Like, start high. One thing I loved to do when I was an educator is I would love to ask students and just tell them to be real with me. And I say, okay, guys, keep it real. Tell me, how many of you feel you can get an A in this class? I'd have like 2 hands raised. Then I say, okay, how many of you feel you can get a B in my class? Maybe 3 hands would raise. C in my class. Maybe 10 hands would raise. D in my class. 5 hands would raise. And F in my class. 4 hands would raise. And I wouldn't judge them. I would say, okay, cool. Okay, cool. And I would take that data and then I would tell the students, for all of you that aim to get an F in this class, I need you to at least aim to get a B or a C in this class. For all of you that aim to get B's or A's, I need you all to gain an A in this class. I would motivate all of them to aim higher, and I found that method did work, because sometimes students are dealing with their own anxiety. They're dealing with mindsets and things. And sometimes they need that parent or that teacher to push them. They need you as a parent or as a friend or mentor to push them to have high expectations. So when you're talking to your child, you should say, hey, babe, sit down. Okay, this is your school year. Here are your teachers. How are you feeling about your classes so far? Okay, I know you can get A's. It's not a conversation of, oh, I didn't do so well in math. So if you get a C, if you barely pull a C, I'm going to take you to Busch Gardens. We're just going to have a blast. No, it should be an established high expectation. I know you can get an A in there. I know you can. And I'm here. And you push them as much as you can. And then if they get a B, you still celebrate. But don't limit them with starting out with lower expectations. Always say, okay, I know you can get straight A's this year. Like, I just had no doubt. I know you can. I see it in you. You're great. You're smart. You're amazing. Okay. There's no reason why you shouldn't bring home straight A's. And I'm going to be here to help to make sure that you have everything you need so that you can accomplish those grades. Talk with your child throughout the year. Talk to your child about their behavior. If your child has behavior problems, sit down and say, what is going on? What makes you bored? What makes you throw pencils at the teacher? What's making you skip class? What's making you take your phone out? What's making you want to fight? Sit down and talk with your students, because they need you more than ever. And sometimes, especially middle high school, they're not going to always voice out what they need, but they need you to talk to them just like you spoke with them when they were in elementary school. They're still your baby, and they need that scaffolding and that support that never goes away. So just, I don't know. And when you talk to them, it shouldn't be like a disciplinary, we need to talk, sit down. Like, it should be like, hey, come sit, come chat. Let's talk. Tell me what's up. And just be calm, be cool. Don't get defensive. Don't say, well, I raised you this. No. You got to be cool about it. Talk to your child and listen. And even if what they're telling you is like, it makes you cringe a little bit, listen. They need that support. And then say, okay, thanks for sharing. And then still support them and say, I know, you might have had some ruts last year, or you might have had some things come up, or you might have had some anxieties or some fears, or might have had some issues, but I know you're going to do awesome this year. This is your year to do awesome. And you just support them, especially the first few weeks of school when they have homework. Hey, how was homework? Oh, was it easy? Psh, see, I know you had it. Yeah, I knew you could do it. You look at you. You're great, and you support them all the way. When they have a test, they don't do as well on that first test. It's okay, baby. It's okay. You got it. It's okay. We all have a glitch here and there. Let's look at the test. Let's look and see what you missed. Okay. All right. Well, you'll do fine. You'll do fine next time. And then, talk to the teacher about, like maybe the teacher can reteach it, or maybe they can have some tutoring after school. This is where the students need you the most. Okay, if your child gets like a 73 on the test, they're not really happy, and they're usually a straight A student. Talk to that teacher. Hey, my child usually gets, higher grades than this. I would love to see when you would be available to take them in for tutoring after school. What is your schedule? Be reasonable. Act immediately. Don't wait till May to ask questions. Don't wait till April 30th to say, we need to schedule a parent teacher conference. No, honey, you need to schedule that the first 3 weeks of school. If your child is already having, already showing you some difficulty in understanding the content. But like I said, set high expectations from the beginning. In this house, I expect you to make straight A's and a B if you absolutely have to make a B. In this house, we are going to support you in whatever sports, whatever you take up. In this house, we're going to celebrate everything that you do. In this house, I expect that if you bring friends over, that they're going to be awesome. They're going to lift you up and you're going to lift them up, right? So talk to your children in advance about these expectations so that throughout the year, they don't find themselves in these predicaments that could have been avoided. Make sure that if your child is playing a sport, that you become best friends with the coach, because coaches are everything. So make sure that the coach knows who you are and that you support what they do. And then also be reasonable with the coach. Sometimes, I found that students will play a sport or whatnot, and it might be a little bit overwhelming, practice, homework, all this, and they're not able to keep up with the academics. So you should keep an open communication with the coach and say, hey, I know my child is playing sports. I know my child might be one of the main people, on the team. But if my child's academics begin to slip, I need you to call me. I need you to email me, because I need to make sure that academics, because at the end of the day, you could play amazingly in that senior year. You could be phenomenal. But if you don't get the GPA that these colleges are looking for, you cannot play. And we've seen that. There's not really like a waiver for if you get a 1.8 GPA and you're trying to go to University of Florida and play for the Gators. At this time, there's not a waiver for that. At this time, you would be denied. Even if you were the quarterback of the football team and it was division, whatever the division 1 or whatever football team, that's amazing. Like, they're not going to allow you to play because you don't have the grades. And I always stress that to seniors in particular, that you could be a rock star doing your thing, but if those grades don't cut it, you're not going anywhere, So it's kind of like, convincing your child, like, I need you to do awesome this year in your grades. Make deals with your kids. If your child is starting out the school year and they're like, make some deals and say, okay, if you make straight A's, this is what I'll give you, or this is what I'll let us do, or this is what your reward will be. If you make all A's and a B, this is your reward. If you make all B's, this is your reward. I usually stop there. I mean, personally, I don't, but and then you just keep going, and then of course, I mean, sometimes throughout the year, they might struggle and they might, not be able to pull off that B. They might make a solid C, but they did their best. Still reward that baby, still let them know, like, wow, so proud of you. You're amazing. Look at the progress you made. And just work out some type of a reward system in advance. Listen, parents, if your child does have some behavioral issues, and whether it's like, they might be a little chatty, or they might have, they might not play as well as they should with their peers. They might be a little bit disrespectful at times to adults, whatever. Work out a system before school with your child, a reward system, a point system, something where you say, okay, if you come to class or if you come home and you have no referrals and you have no discipline, no lunch detention, no parent conferences scheduled, this is your reward. Work out some reasonable rewards. Then hang those rewards up so that your child can see him throughout the year, and so that you also can see it's a part of the family fabric. Because when you have these expectations, this is what's going to really help hold your child accountable, and they will thank you for it. They'll know, oh my word, I know mom, dad said that if I have, if I get this or if I have that, then this. But if I get this or that, then that. And then they can make their choices as to how they want to conduct themselves. So that when they get home, if they did something and it was disappointing, they already know the rules. This isn't like a surprise. This isn't going to be like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, I wasn't supposed. No, you knew. And it holds them accountable. And then they know what the consequence is. You're not going to get that game you wanted. You're not going to go to so-and-so's house. You're not going to have that party. You're not going to, they already know what the consequences are. So these are some things that you can do to try to establish that sense of order in your home so that students know what the expectations are. Also, when making friends, it's imperative that you work with your children about what type of friendships that they're going to make, and if their friends are bringing quality to them. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes peer pressure sets in and they know their friends might not be the best quality friend for them. And when I say that, I mean they're not making decisions that are helping their academics. They're not making decisions that are helping them, their morals. They're not making decisions that are helping their attitude or their outlook in life. And so what happens is their friends can influence them. They can start taking on some of those mindsets and those perspectives and those ways of life, those actions, and it can impact them in a negative way, right? So talk to your child in advance and say, hey, I want you hanging out with people that will lift you up and that you can lift up. And just continue to help your child make the right choices. And then as they bring in people that are lifting them up, continue to celebrate that. You're going to have to talk to your child about embracing all people, embracing all cultures, embracing all backgrounds and all walks of life, as well, being all inclusive, enjoying your life. So those are some things that you definitely want to consider when talking to your child and having those high expectations. Another thing that you can do when you're starting the school year as well is after you've had those high expectations, you can also kind of just thank the teachers and thank the administration, let them know who you are and just that you're there to support them and, just to keep in touch with you and the best way to contact you so that they'll know. Because sometimes they get those emergency cards and they're not always updated with the right information. So sometimes you have to go back and just kind of follow up and let them know. You might also want to let administrators know of anything that your child has suffered traumatically or tragically or any mixed parenting situations and things like that they might not be aware of, because sometimes they don't know, or sometimes they have new administrators that come in. So they do need your support on that. So making sure that you're doing that, making sure that you're talking to your children about just how their representation, it matters with your family name and things like that. So I hope that helps when it comes down to preparing you guys for school. I just felt it was very imperative to talk about school in this section. And I also wanted to just continue to remind you that throughout the year, check on your child's physical health, their mental health, their emotional health. This is so imperative because especially sometimes, we can assume as parents, oh, they've got homework, they're in their room, they're on the phone, they're in the video game, they're talking with their friends, and there's nothing wrong, everything's good. But you don't know what your child might be battling. They might be battling an incident, a cyberbullying incident, especially because now there are so many different things going on social media and on the internet and on YouTube and things, like even like some of these games, Minecraft, Roblox, all these games. Sometimes they have rooms where like the kids can, play games together and talk together. Well, sometimes those children are not the nicest, right? And sometimes those kids are playing from all over the nation, all over the world. So you're getting different dynamics, different children. You don't know what's going on. And so it's very imperative that you also, if your child, you set expectations about technology in the home and outside of the home as well. So there's nothing wrong with putting limits on technology. You can tell your child, okay, you get an hour a day. That's it, an hour a day. Or you get it only on the weekends, or you get it after homework, or you get it from, I don't know, like setting these expectations so that children know that at the end of the day, the parent is the one that's making that decision for them until they get of age. It's only safe, because there's nothing more uh, kind of frustrating in a way, I guess, than when a child comes to school and they are absolutely tired, and you ask them why they're tired, and they played video games all night. They have no energy for class because they spent the entire night playing energy games. And so that's something that, as parents, we want to make sure that we're mindful of, and that we're keeping a healthy balance for our kids, so that they can, perform throughout the week for the teachers, and so that they can show their proficiency in all subject areas. And so definitely setting boundaries on what is allowed, what is not allowed on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever, Twitter, whatever. Making sure you're watching their accounts, making sure that of their friends in general, making sure you know what they're watching on social media, on YouTube, on whatever. In establishing a relationship with your child, so that it's not awkward when you're asking those questions. It shouldn't be like your law enforcement. Hey, what are you doing? What is that? No, it should be a part of your relationship with your baby. So you should already have a relationship pretty much established with your child, where you can casually walk in and just say, hey, how's it going? Oh, so what's new on TikTok? What's new on Snapchat? What's new on YouTube? So what you been snooping at? And let your child open up. You should be approachable. Your child should they should feel comfortable approaching you. If not, I would say question your parenting style. If your child is flinching when they get around you, or they're nervous, that might be an authoritarian type of a parenting style. It might be a little too much. And you might have to just embrace a little bit of mercy so that your child can begin to trust you enough to open up, and to know that if I tell you the truth and it's not necessarily what you want to hear, I'm not going to get in trouble. So that's just some advice that I have for you guys regarding setting expectations regarding technology. Also making sure that if your child does have a cell phone, what is the school's policy about bringing cell phones? Are they allowed to have cell phones? If they are allowed to have cell phones, is it a BYOD or bring your own device situation where they're only allowed to use it for that? Or are they only allowed to use it during lunch? Or do they have to keep it powered off before school and after school? Find out what your school policy is, and then find out what each individual teacher is doing as well. I know that for my classroom, when I used to teach, I used to allow students to use cell phones for a couple of things. One was, so we did a lot of graphing and things like that. And so sometimes I would allow my students to look up different things pertaining to graphs. And then also I would allow my students to look up YouTube math videos where they could take notes on those videos and then turn them into me. And then they could also teach the class of what they saw. So that was one way. And then, if they're using a game like Kahoot, which is a really cool math game or whatever, then my students could use their cell phone to answer the quiz questions on Kahoot. So cell phones aren't always bad, or bring your own devices, tablets, whatever, but they definitely have to be monitored throughout class. Talk to your child though and say, hey, I know that, your teacher allows you to use, your cell phone for this, but at the end of the day, my expectation for you as parent is I want you to stay, in the boundaries of that. The worst thing is for you to be that parent. I mean, unless this is an emergency, we all have that parent that, for some reason, is texting the child throughout the day, to where the child can't disconnect from home life. And they're so busy talking to the parent throughout the lesson that they disregard anything that the teacher's saying. And it's almost like I'm texting my parent. like, leave me alone. Can't you see I'm texting my parent? And then and so usually in those situations, it makes it a little bit awkward for the teacher. Good luck to teachers that have to answer that question. Usually I would tell them, okay, well, text your mom. I said hi, and that you have to get back to the lesson. It's cute. It's really cute. But yeah, so making sure that you're setting those boundaries regarding technology as a parent, and then of course teachers as well. Um, Setting boundaries and letting your students know exactly how you expect them to use technology in the classroom. Because at the end of the day, the adult is the last say. The adult is the one, unless, like I said, unless it's an emergency situation, that teacher or the parent needs to be the one to make the decision. So, all right. So with that said, guys, I'm so thankful that you guys were able to join me as we spoke about expectations and getting ready for school. Oh, also make sure that if there are certain communities that'll have different like health fairs. Like I know Hillsborough County, they have health fairs where you can go and get shots, haircuts, pencils, like all this. Like they have an amazing plethora of health fairs like across the district that you can go to. There's like 8 of them, I think, where you can go and you can get that. Churches have them. Um, Different nonprofit organizations have health fairs and school supply little drive-throughs where you can go and get free backpacks and school supplies and things like that. So make sure that you're also taking advantage of that. I mean, it's from your community, so get what you can from the community. If it's a blessing to you, then use it. Or get it and give it away to somebody else that that could also use it. So yeah, so that is my back to school prep information for you guys. And definitely just making sure that your children have a healthy mindset throughout the school year. If not, make sure you're reaching out to officials appropriately, whether it's a school guidance counselor, school therapist, things like that, that can help your child throughout the year. And then if you hear of anything, make sure you're reporting it to, the appropriate parties that be, whether it's a teacher, administrator, or whatnot, to help get your children help. Now, listen, don't think that because we're in summer, kids aren't dealing with stuff. Kids are texting, kids are playing games, kids are going to house parties, doing all kinds of stuff over the summer. And sometimes some of that stuff will trickle into the school year, into the classrooms. So it's imperative that parents, you're staying aware of what's going on and you're able to assist your child, but that are also teachers, that you're cognizant of the relationships in the classroom, who gets along with who might have a little bit of, beef stirring with someone else, and how you can kind of help those children mediate and get along. Just kind of stir feel the waters, test the waters out with all that. Anyways, guys, I digress. I mean, this has been great. I'm so thankful I was able to come on here and talk to you guys about school prep. Make sure you're checking your school district calendars, making sure that you're marking on the days that the kids have off school, marking off the days of any major standardized tests, marking off any holidays, any dentist appointments, any doctor's appointments that your child might have, so that you don't miss a beat throughout the school year. Make sure that your child has all the support that they need from family, friends, social media, wherever, so that they can be successful and happy throughout the school year. So with that said, I wish you guys the best. Please make sure that you continue to tune into the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White. Again, if this is your first time, thanks for joining me on the show as we spoke today about school prep. And a couple more announcements. Again, the same announcement. So the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White will be aired on the radio station SoulNet WKDH every Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please visit soulnetwkdh.com to tune in. If you want to be featured on the show, please email me your photo and bio at india.white.123@gmail.com. Also, let me know of what it is that you would like to discuss on the show. Do you have a book coming out? You have a business that you're starting? Do you have an idea? Do you want to talk about something, a hot topic? Like, what is it that you want to discuss on the show? So make sure you get with me on that. Also, Follow me on social media, guys. So my Facebook is Miss India White. LinkedIn is The India White. That's TheindiaWhite. My Twitter is Indie Speak and Teach. That's INDISP as in Paul, EAK, the letter N and the word teach all together. And then my Instagram is Indie238. That's INDI238. And YouTube is India White 123 all together. So make sure that you're liking and subscribing and you're sharing and that you're telling people word of mouth, because that is, I think, the best way to get things done. Also, the Real Talk Show will be featured on the Swain Girl Media channel, which is hosted by Precious Swain on Fire Stick. So make sure that you're reaching out to Precious Swain or that you're looking up, a Swain Girl Media channel online on Apple Tunes, whatever, and seeing if you can catch episodes of the Real Talk Show. Okay. And then also make sure you're checking out the website if you're wanting any services from me, how I can come and speak to your students, or you want a book, or you want to look at the blog on different topics of education or topics on ministry, which I have not. I don't know. I need to, maybe start doing more blogs on ministry. I think that would be pretty cool. And then blogs on business and different things like that. So make sure that you are looking up that and seeing how that can best serve your needs and what it is that you need from me. Okay. So with that said, that's what I have for you guys. And I'm so thankful that I was able to come onto the Real Talk Show with Dr. India White today to talk to you guys about getting ready for school. I hope you have everything that you need. If you have any questions or any follow-up, I will do what I can to assist you. Feel free to DM me, send me an email, things like that. Keep in touch. If you want to be on the show, reach out to me while we're getting everything prepared for the shows. And with that said, guys, be safe, stay cool in this summer heat, in the humidity, especially us in Florida. It's just a lot. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you are spending quality time with your families and with the little ones while they are home, because when school gets started, everything starts to get, just going wild, right? And I'm sorry, I didn't mention also making sure that your bus zones and things like that, if you do have your child being zoned into a bus or bused into an area, and different things like that. So with that said, guys, it's been a great show, and I'm so happy I was able to come on here with you guys today and talk about school. I'm so excited, and best wishes to all the kiddos that were watching, and all the parents that are watching, and all the teachers that are watching. Go out there and make it happen to a great school year. Okay, guys, have a wonderful night, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.